Right. I've got another van. Where was I? Well, let's just get past this van. Oh, he's going backwards all the way down the hill. Right. So, with those difficulties that Preve just mentioned, Flynn has a unique way of going to kind of deal with discomfort and doing his best to carry the rider. But unfortunately, that meant that, now that he's 9-10-year-old, one of those two things, he's spent his life going the wrong way and making it very uncomfortable for himself and anybody sitting on him. And one of the ways he's done that, there's many different ways, but one of the ways he's done that is to sort of drop, in the way the saddle sits, it sort of drops away. It's rather like sitting in a badly upholstered chair where you sit in and it sort of feels like it's collapsing, and it's difficult then to get out of. Well, it's the same with the trot. It's difficult to rise to the trot because not only is the stride unbelievably short like a Shetland, but also because it dips away, it doesn't push the rider because there's no lift, no cadence. So come on. So there's that going on, and as a result, behind the saddle, his loins are very, very weak, and they're not really supporting the hindquarters. So the hindquarters don't engage in the slightest. And when I mean engage, I mean power the forehand. They're just not powering the forehand. The forehand's powering the forehand, and the quarters are following as an afterthought, rather like you might ride a bicycle with a trailer or something. The trailer isn't doing any of the work. The bicycle is pulling the trailer, so it's like the forehand is pulling the quarters. And what that means is when you want him to go more forward, what he does, instead of taking bigger, covering more ground, he just gets, the steps get sort of faster. So the walk seems quite rapid. It is rapid, and if you ask for more, it gets more rapid. But it's not going anywhere. It's not going forward, and it's not going anywhere. So, and not only that, the head comes right up in the air like a broomstick. It sounds awful, doesn't it, Lucky? But it's not his fault. So the head comes up like a broomstick and has done all his life, and all the muscles underneath his neck are really developed, which further confirms to the loins, behind the saddle and the hindquarters, they can't possibly work, because it's all put together wrong. And that's meant that, he's got these problems in his mouth. He still has. And what he's done is he sort of isn't really going anywhere. So the minute you go to use the reins kind of thing, the head just comes up and he falls back into walk. And it really isn't helping him, it's not helping him. It's not healthy for his joints. Now, right, and whoa, good boy. Good boy. Now you see how he's, like, I'm using my right rein quite strongly, but you see how he's opening his mouth and he's just not coming round. He's just opening his mouth and completely oblivious to having his head straightened. He's got no corners to his mouth at all, but That's the least of our problems, or part of them. Well, not so important. He can hear a horse, but he doesn't need to hear a horse to do all that stuff. He just, like, no, I'm not going to straighten my head. Right, walk on. Right, walk on. Okay, so the head comes up, the walk gets very pacey, very rapid, in an effort to propel himself along. And because he's gone like that his whole life, right, have a little trot, because he's gone like that his whole life, he doesn't know of a different way of going. And this is really important for people to realise, because it applies to so many horses. I know what I want him to do. I know how I want him to go. But the thing is, he doesn't know that even exists, because he's never done it. So whenever I've asked him in the normal way that works for so many horses, morning, which has worked for so many horses, it doesn't work with Flynn, Lucky, because as I say, he doesn't know how to make changes, because it's something he's never done. So, and because he doesn't really go forward and use himself, it's self-defeating, because he just hello. Because he needs to have the feel of what it is that it could be like. He needs to have that feel. And if you can't get it by using the leg to activate the hindquarters in the normal way, then there is a case for these draw reins, which, as I say, are not to hold his head in, but just to show him how he can go. Because unless this head doesn't come in, unless this head goes down, unless he learns to stretch, we are never going to make things better for him. You see, once he really gets it into once he really gets the feel, you see, in the minute the head goes down, I don't know if you can see, but the walk slows up. You see, it has to. The walk slows up when the head comes down.